I am going to start by welcoming you all to this incredible, powerful gathering. What a powerful gathering. You are part of such a terrific community. The community that shows up. You're the community that puts on your gender lenses and sees clearly all that we can do together, collectively, to design systems and to improve systems that work well for women and girls, which means then they work for us all. And we're going to keep on working on those designs until we get them right. Here at the Women's Fund, we look at it from the perspective of 4 pillars that are critical to support our success. One is economic mobility. Second is health and well-being. The third is leadership. And finally, freedom from violence, without which nobody can fully thrive. Your Women's Fund welcomes you, Madam Mayor, on behalf of our board of directors, our team, the incredible volunteers who serve on our committees, including our fantastic grantees, and especially the committed community partners who are not only co-hosting this event with us today, but who, like you, Madam Mayor, work tirelessly to make the 305 a place where women and girls and we all can truly thrive. Welcome to them all, whether you see their logos or not. We've got a huge village here and it's terrific. Mayor Daniella Levine Cava, welcome to your town hall. Thank you for your time to focus on how we, women and girls, are truly reflected in your proposed county budget that so greatly affects us all. Madam Mayor.
Good evening, everybody. It is great to be with the Women's Fund and all of the wonderful partnering organizations. I don't think I've missed any Women's Fund advocacy workshops in as long as I can remember, both as a participant and now as mayor. So very grateful to all of you for organizing this town hall and inviting so many of our community leaders and advocates for women and girls. I love the Women's Fund. I've been with the Women's Fund since its founding. So very proud of the leadership and the volunteers.
I smell it all back here and shit.
Okay, somebody has an open mic. Right, can you all hear me? Okay, great. So everybody here knows that every decision local government makes has an impact on women who are more likely than men to depend on public transit to get to work. They're working minimum wage jobs, or they're falling victim to violence or sexual assault. These are just a few of the special conditions that affect our women. And we also know that families are struggling across our community. And that is why my proposed budget not only includes a historic tax cut, but also doubles down on essential services for our women and girls, what they need to succeed. So it is critical that women and girls are included in this budget and included in this budget process so that we can fund and prioritize the issues that you advocate for. Women's Fund. I'm thrilled to see you here on screen, engaging, using your voices to make change. That's what it's all about. And let me just say, Women's Fund is an exemplary nonprofit, like all of you that are part of nonprofits, that not only provide services, but also advocates. That is what our democracy needs: active citizenry, serving and speaking up. Truth to power. That's what this is all about. Since being elected as the first woman mayor in Miami-Dade County, we've made great progress to improve the lives of women and girls in the community through targeted investments. Human services, I've reactivated our human services, Community Action Human Services Department. Violence prevention, we created a new office of neighborhood safety and created the Peace and Prosperity Plan. We're working on reentry services to help people who are returning citizens. domestic violence programs we've enhanced, immigration programs, housing affordability, life-saving vaccines, and much more. So looking back over this past year, we were able to create and fund so many innovative programs. I'm so very, very proud that we've been able to make our community safer and more prosperous with your support. We heard from you in our Thrive 305 plan. We heard from you during our budget workshops last year. The input is captured in our budget this year as well. So we also opened a beautiful state-of-the-art domestic violence shelter that I recently had the great pleasure to visit. It's not just beautiful, but the programming is divine and so needed in this community. And on the environmental front, I'm very proud we appointed the country's first chief heat officer, a woman, for in case you didn't know, Jane Gilbert. She's tackling the issue of extreme heat, which we know disproportionately affects women and babies. And that is part of the campaign that the Women's Fund launched. We were so proud to be by your side. We have had a historic number of women, by the way, across the departments in Miami-Dade County. So I've appointed several new women directors and others in the leadership pipeline to have more and more women at the top of our government. We also know that social and economic strain of the past 2+ years have had a heightened effect on women. In fact, the recession we experienced was called a she-cession because of its unfortunate impact on women, especially single moms who have also the brunt of caretaking duties for all ages and feel the wage gap in their wallets. More so, and unfortunately, we've lost ground on pay equity and women business opportunities in this pandemic. So this year's budget aims to build on last year's successes and to tackle these issues. As we've rebounded from the pandemic and our economy is one of the most recovered in the country, it's considered the most by some standards, we are finding ourselves at the epicenter of an affordability crisis that has left hundreds of thousands of residents across our community suffering, unable to afford the escalating cost of housing. And so to truly sustain our economic growth and ensure that we're a place where all of us can continue to live, work, and thrive, it is so very critical that we invest all available resources to tackle the crisis head on. And as we look to the budget year ahead, we owe it. We owe it. We have the opportunity and we have the obligation. We owe it to our residents who are struggling with the rising cost of living to provide immediate relief. And that is why my budget proposes a historically low tax rate, the lowest combined tax rate since 1982. And it makes a historic investment of over $500 million, $500 million, to provide immediate help to homeowners and renters across the spectrum. That includes the middle class, working, and low income families, as well as the homeless. So just 2 days ago, I announced our HOMES plan, HOMES, which I'm so excited to share and needs your support because I need to have the votes of the county commission during the budget process for all of this to become a reality. Lauren Parra, who's our Senior Director of Communications in my office, will share some more of those details in just a moment. We're also taking other unprecedented steps to address this crisis. That includes the recently formed Office of Housing Advocacy. Again, this is a result of civic activism, talking truth to power. We have this office. It's led by a phenomenal woman, Dolores Holly, who is very expert on housing matters, 2 other extraordinary women working with her. And we also passed at the commission the first ever Tenants Bill of Rights, providing rights to our residents where none existed before. So the state does not have much in the way of rights for tenants. And we were able to, even though we're preempted in many regards, we were able to add some protections, of which I'm very proud. By the way, our budget includes more staffing for that office because the phones have been ringing off the hook. And those 3 ladies have been taking calls until the wee hours of the night to try to meet the demand for for hundreds and hundreds who are calling. And we're also investing in the future for our families in Miami-Dade by raising all our entry-level salaries in the county government to a minimum of $15 per hour. So you might be surprised to know that not all county employees were receiving a living wage up until this point. And they deserve it, they need it, and it's really shameful. We have it for our contractors, most of them, but some of our county employees were still part-time and not making a living wage. So I have fixed that with this budget. Today, we'll be learning more about many of the crucial investments in the budget and how they will expand our social services for the benefit of women and children. And many of these programs, by the way, are also within other departments, the police department, the corrections department. We're adding all kinds of services to help people get back on their feet and protect themselves and make their communities and their homes safe. So I am going to need your help to get all of this done. Your voices, your advocacy are needed to get this budget and this historic tax cut across the finish line. So more than anything, we need your public advocacy to the board. Call your county commissioners, write op-eds to the Herald or other newspapers. Let the board know through phone calls to support this spending plan and show up at our budget hearings, September 8th and 20th, 5 p.m. It will really matter. Your voice will matter. You've been so helpful before. You've made things happen. And I know with your help, we'll be able to ensure that our families, our children, our communities can continue to thrive in Miami-Dade County. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank
that
you,
means
Madam
I'm
Mayor.
up
Thank you,
next.
Madam Mayor. We have Lauren. Lauren, are you all ready to take it away to give us some of the details that our Madam Mayor indicated about the plan, the house plan?
I'm ready. Can you all hear and see me just fine?
Yes, thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. As the mayor mentioned, my name is Lauren Parra. I am the Senior Director of Communications for Mayor Cava, and I am really so grateful to be with you all, to be with the Women's Fund this evening. So first, we are going to walk through a little bit about how the budget is structured, which may or may not be a refresher for a good number of you here tonight, but I hope that it's still helpful framing for everybody who's listening this evening. So when you hear about the county's $10 billion proposed budget, it's really important to remember that that is comprised of both capital and operating expenditures, with capital expenditures making up just over 1/3 of the total budget at about $3.65 billion. The capital budget includes the development of infrastructure, of roads and buildings. Some of those examples are shown here on the left, while the operating budget represents the day-to-day operations of all of our county services, including the upwards of 30,000 staff who ensure that the government is functioning and that we are properly serving our 3 million residents each and every day. Whereas the capital budget is primarily funded through the issuance of debt, the operating budget is supported by a combination of tax-supported revenues and proprietary revenues. The tax-supported portion of the budget requires a subsidy from the general fund. We need this to provide services like parks, police, fire, and other critical social services. And the proprietary portion of the budget generates its own revenue for services like aviation, the seaport, water and sewer, and solid waste. But before we dive into this year's proposed budget, I do just want to take one moment to share the ways in which we actually used federal funding to address revenue gaps and preserve the key services that our residents needed during the worst moments of the COVID-19 pandemic. During the first year and a half of the pandemic, our government was faced with historic revenue shortfalls. In March 2021, the federal government passed the American Rescue Plan Act, or as folks like to call it, ARPA, which included coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds. In July of that same year, the mayor presented and the board approved the Miami-Dade Rescue Plan, which outlined how those federal dollars were going to be used here in our community. The pie chart on the right shows a breakdown of allocations that the board approved for use of those funds. In the plan, we allocated close to 2/3 of the total funds to the continuation of county services, those critical services that we're talking about, nearly 1/4 to advancing infrastructure projects, close to $60 million to advance projects with economic and social impact, and finally, about $26 million for projects at the district level across the county. Our priority during the height of the early pandemic was to preserve services at a time in which those proved to be essential. They were lifelines, and many of which we had to adapt as our entire country, the world, really shifted in behavior in response to the pandemic. We do want to mention that a more complete breakdown of this pie chart and the use of those federal funds, including allocations for this coming fiscal year in the area of continuation of county services, can be found in volume 1 of the budget book, Appendix Z, as in zebra, if you want to learn more. So broadly speaking, this proposed budget reflects the needs of our community today and the priorities that we've heard throughout engagement over the last year and a half, including through the Thrive 305 exercise. It reflects deep investments in housing. It reflects investments in public safety, resilience, and in transit. And tonight we'll go into more detail on investments that we're making that are deeply important, not just to our entire community, but specifically to women and girls. So first and foremost, you may have heard, as the mayor mentioned earlier, that on Monday, we were very proud to introduce the new homes plan, the latest piece of our multi-year Building Blocks program. The plan includes relief for struggling homeowners and renters. It creates more housing that people can actually afford, and it preserves and enhances the existing stock of affordable housing. Our budget invests over $500 million in housing programs, and the homes plan represents a portion of that, about $85 million to deliver a comprehensive strategy to really tackle the housing crisis. The homes plan, as you can see here on the screen, is made up of a very wonderful acronym, and I'm going to walk you each through it. So the H in the homes plan stands for housing preservation. By reinvesting in programs we know work, in effective programs like NOAA, naturally occurring affordable housing, and the weatherization assistance program, we are working to preserve existing affordable housing, so the housing that we already have, and we're also assisting low-income homeowners in our community to upgrade their homes, making them more energy efficient. The O stands for opening new doors through innovative programs. Through this proposed budget, we are piloting new and innovative programs to tackle the housing crisis, including the Workforce Housing Incentive Program, or the WIP, which provides local property owners direct monetary incentives to expand the existing supply of available workforce housing, which will provide immediate relief to renters and eligible homeowners. The M in homes stands for mortgage and utilities relief for struggling homeowners. With this plan, we're providing direct relief payments of up to $1,500 to thousands of households across Miami-Dade County to support homeowners who are behind on their mortgages, behind on their homeowners insurance, their HOA fees, and utility payments. The E in homes stands for expanding our emergency rental assistance program, otherwise known as ERAP. This program was a sincere lifeline for residents in Miami-Dade County. With ERAP, we kept over 20,000 families in their homes since the start of the pandemic. And this year, through the homes plan, we are reinvesting an additional $8 million in this program that we know works. And we're also expanding eligibility, which means more families in Miami-Dade County will be able to benefit from this program. And finally, there's the S. The S in homes stands for securing new housing units. At our housing summit this past June, we revealed a new goal for expanding the supply of new housing units. We added an additional 18,000 units to the 14,000 currently in the pipeline. Through the Homes Plan, we're also launching the Development Inflation Adjustment Fund. With this fund, we will be able to support affordable housing projects that are currently delayed due to supply chain issues, where we believe that a small infusion of additional capital can move these projects to completion, bringing new units online quickly. For more information on the Homes Plan and what it might mean for you, please visit miamidade.gov/homesplan. But I do also want to reiterate and just make sure that you all remember, and this is really, really important, none of these investments are possible unless the Board of County Commissioners approves the mayor's proposed budget and millage rate in September. And I will tell you more as to why in just a second. So in addition to this historic investment in housing, the mayor's budget includes programs and services that will meaningfully support not just our county, but specifically women and girls in the community. To begin, we are investing and building safety through our flagship Peace and Prosperity Plan, which we first launched last summer, to fund projects and youth at the community level, including tens of thousands of dollars for the SAFE in the 305 grants, which funds up to 45 projects led by our Office of Neighborhood Safety, and also $75,000 to provide up to 50 local Miami-Dade County students with $1,500 college scholarships out of COSD. We're also making internal changes within county government, which the mayor alluded to earlier, to really build out the equity that we're rooting this county budget in and to better serve our residents, including increasing pay for our most vulnerable staff members within our Community Action Human Services Department, COSD, many of who are women, and also by transitioning a number of our part-time employees to full-time positions as well. We're also increasing funding for key services to support our seniors and youth, including funding for the elder abuse program, funding for up to 270,000 children, seniors, and low-income residents to receive free meals through congregate meals, and funding for up to 175,000 meals to be served through Meals on Wheels. We're also investing just over $85 million in federal funding towards Head Start, including $425,000 in enhanced mental health, disability, and educational support services to early Head Start children and families. We're also providing enhanced domestic violence prevention and intervention services. We're looking to support around 1,600 survivors with shelter and advocacy, and we're allocating just over $5 million in general fund support to homeless shelter services. I also want to mention here work that our Miami-Dade Police Department is currently doing to improve its own work on domestic and gender-based violence. Our MDPD has partnered with the International Association of Chiefs of Police to do a self-assessment of our law enforcement response to gender-based violence, all to make sure that we are correctly reporting and documenting our response, and also doing everything we can to prevent gender-based violence, including making touchpoint calls with households that have repeat instances. The association will soon provide recommendations to our PD department based directly on our internal assessment. And all of this is in addition to the work that MDPD's existing domestic violence unit, their special victims unit, and crime analysts are already doing to serve our community each day. We, of course, also have an ongoing partnership with the state attorney's office led by Catherine Fernandez-Rundle around human trafficking and sex trafficking, which has helped us especially weather major events like the Super Bowl to ensure that women and girls in this community are safe. And last but not least, we are investing capital dollars to develop the Casa Familia Community Center. We're investing dollars to refurbish the Kendall Cottages, and we're investing dollars to continue renovating the New Direction Residential Treatment and Rehabilitation Center as well. So this blue slide is a reminder for me to take a breath and pause. I know that I just shared a lot of information. It covers a wide array of investments that are designed to support our women and girls and to really propel our county forward. And many of them are, as you know, dependent on revenues we generate here in Miami-Dade County. So property taxes are, of course, a significant revenue source for our local government. And each year, the county and its municipalities decide on their tax rates or millage rates for the following year. On the left, you will see a sample property tax bill for a household here in Miami-Dade County. And on the right, our millage rates for this current year, 2021-2022. So here in the county, we all pay the countywide operating millage. Fire and rescue and libraries have their own operating millages. And those who live in unincorporated Miami-Dade or UMSA, they pay a separate millage to fund services that the county provides them. The current UMSA millage is 1.9283. But now if you or someone you know, a family member lives in a municipality, which are the orange areas on the map here on the left, such as the city of Miami or the city of Miami Beach, Hialeah, instead of that UMSA operating tax, you actually pay a separate property tax to that municipality based on their approved millage. Here on the slide, we're also zooming in on that sample tax bill on the right to show you that you pay other property taxes to other jurisdictions beyond just Miami-Dade County, such as the school board or the state of Florida. So this year, as our community grapples with a true affordability crisis, the proposed budget for this next fiscal year is designed to help families deal with inflation by setting the lowest combined tax rate since 1982. That is historic and it is worth my repeating, so I will say it again. This proposed budget that Mayor Daniella Levine Cava is putting forth, I apologize if y'all can hear my large dog moving around, I apologize. This budget is designed to help families deal with inflation by setting the lowest combined tax rate since 1982. That year, 1982, when our downtown Miami skyline looked like the image on the left, we had a combined tax rate of 8.552. This year, the mayor's proposed combined millage rate for the coming year is 9.2060, a decrease from last year's millage, which was 9.299. So this historic cut is enough to provide an overall tax relief of $25 million, while still enabling us to make investments to preserve critical county services, to advance key projects, including many of the investments that I mentioned just a minute ago, and we'll get to discuss even further shortly. The mayor's proposed budget is a responsible one. It safeguards future cuts to important services while still providing much needed relief for families across the county. It's really important to mention here that alternative proposals for deeper millage cuts would deliver very limited nominal additional relief to households across Miami-Dade, and especially not for those that need it most, while putting our services and our projects that we have down the pike at risk. We've projected, for instance, that every percentage cut beyond our proposed 1%, we stand to lose up to $24 million in future revenues, meaning a 3% cut would result in up to $48 million in reduced revenues to the county. While there's really no telling exactly how those revenue reductions would play out in terms of which programs or which services might be cut, it's hardly an exaggeration to say that we could see constraints to further invest in environmental protection and resilience and in transit-oriented development, all critical services that help further Miami-Dade County and its residents. This would also put us at risk as a county of meeting contractual obligations, preparing for constitutional offices, for example, the elected sheriff that's coming in the future, and our ability to renew and enhance our community assets through capital improvements. So what's next? Now that you have all of this information, and I'm sure you are ready to discuss further, let me just quickly point out a few opportunities after this conversation where you may have an opportunity to further engage with your county, with your mayor, and with this budget. So first, our mayor is hosting a number of conversations with Cava events over the next few weeks leading up to the September budget hearings to speak with residents, meet with families, talk to businesses about issues that matter to them, and explain more of what's in our budget. The first of these in-person events actually took place last night at Gwen Cherry Park. We had an incredible turnout, but if you missed it, we have 2 other events coming soon. If you live in South and North Dade, or if your friends, family, and loved ones do, please attend and promote these events. They're a really great opportunity to engage one-on-one with the mayor, with the team, with county officials, and the budget in or near your neighborhood. And we want to make sure that communities know about this opportunity. Our South Dade event in Cutler Bay is taking place next Wednesday, September 7th, and our North Dade event in Miami Lakes is taking place the following Wednesday on September 14th. We'll be sending the information on this slide as well as a flyer to the Women's Fund so that they can share with everybody who's attended this evening. And here are a few other ways that we encourage you to express your support for this proposed budget to continue to stay engaged. We'd ask that you consider contacting your county commissioners over the next few weeks leading up to the budget hearings. We've included a link here that you can use to find your commissioner and locate their contact information. You can also write a letter to the editor or an op-ed to your local newspaper showcasing the value of this budget and demonstrating your support for the proposed 1% millage reduction that makes it possible to provide all these county investments and critical services. That last part is really important. And finally, and many of you know this because we saw you out there last year, please come in person to the budget hearings on September 8th and September 20th. This is when the Board of County Commissioners will listen to community input, listen to you, and make final adjustments to the budget. So please do sign up and participate as a speaker to verbally express your support for Mayor Cava's budget. Both of these meetings start at 5:01 p.m. If you have any questions or concerns, any feedback for our team, please never hesitate to reach out. We're so grateful for your involvement here tonight. And with that, I am turning it back to Las Chicas at the Women's Fund. Thank you all so much.
Well, we want you to know, Madam Mayor and team, that you can count on us very much as well. We're so happy to have partnered in the Stop Sex Trafficking campaign for the Super Bowl that was mentioned there before with Formula One and World Cup and all kinds of things. And know that you can count on us. We were really gratified to have so many of our volunteers, impact agents, board members, community partners appear and feel comfortable coming to the county budget hearings. And we do have to thank you, Madam Mayor, for being that cutting edge visionary that makes us feel like that door is always open. So not only, I thought we'd just kick off by saying one of the things that we supported in the budget last year was the naming of the chief heat officer. And nothing works in isolation. Why were we so interested? Because we had understood through our convenings of other experts that extreme heat was affecting, adversely affecting pregnant people and creating adverse birth outcomes. So that cutting edge information came, Madam Mayor, you put it on the county information, emergency response information, have supported so fabulously well the public awareness campaign. And all of those things are just a start. We need to know that we can come and advocate to you all, but it is bringing the information that we all keep on having more and more cutting edge. So the questions are coming in, some through text, some through WhatsApp. Some of them are coming in here on the Q&A. The first one is the question about that the homes program. So just like we talked about the chief heat officer that we advocated for last year, many of us at those hearings, what do we need to know and what can we do? Can you give us a few key talking points about how the homes program will specifically affect women and girls, especially single parents, heads of household in our city?
Thank you so much. I'm going to try to answer first and others can chime in. And I just want to say again, thank you so much, Myra, and the Women's Fund. I'm going to have to get off in about 10 minutes. So I want to make sure to be up front, and then I'll be able to maybe monitor from the car. I have to go to a TV studio to defend the budget in Spanish. So on Oscar Aza's show, so you could tune in later tonight. So we know that women's income is less. We know that, therefore, from all the research that all of us have done, that women-headed households are the ones most likely to need assistance from these programs. So I think it's important to emphasize that these programs are comprehensive. They're for renters, for homeowners. They help landlords to get their rent paid. They help developers to get new units online. And so it's a very comprehensive strategy. And the biggest beneficiaries will be working women. And of course, those with children, all the more so, because they have those extra expenses for caring for children. Some commissioners have asked, well, is it sustainable? Well, the answer is people need help now. This is a one-time infusion. We do not know what the long-term future will hold. We're hoping that our supply will be so increased that it will reduce demand and help bring prices to a level. We've got 32,000 units in process, the 14 already broken ground, the 18 in permitting, 18. So that's 32,000, which is incredible. And with this program, we'll be helping tens of thousands more. So this has the potential to truly change the course of this affordability crisis in our community.
That's terrific. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm going to ask Camila from our team to read the next question that was sent to us in advance. Cami?
Yes.
Sent to us in advance.
For being here with us, Madam Mayor. We have a question from Elena Herrero. She's asking, if you were to pick one action in the budget with the greatest impact for women and girls in the long run, what would it be?
Well, I honestly have to go back to housing, because that is where we are now. We have women looking for shelter because they can't afford to pay the rent. We have women staying with abusers because they can't afford to move out on their own. Women who are caregivers who are not back in the workplace and can't afford their expenses anymore. It's like the Achilles heels right now is not just the high cost of living, but we are the most expensive housing market in the country relative to our income. So I can't think of anything that's more important to stabilize. Also, a lot of the new housing is in mixed income communities. I'm a very strong believer in deconcentrating poverty. And so our policies are very much about creating communities where children can go to schools that are in neighborhoods where the schools are very responsive to the parents, parents that are advocating and active in making sure that children get what they want. So I think right now, the short term, housing is what is protecting our women and families. It's securing their future, and it's helping us to get over this economic crisis.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The next question is from Suzanne Zwingle. She says, hello, this all looks excellent, but how is this fundable with an historically low tax rate, as was explained earlier?
It's a great question. And the property values have gone up, but mostly because of all the newcomers who are coming with money and speculators. We know that properties are at a premium. People are buying them up and flipping them. People are wrecking old homes and building new ones. And the price of buying a home now is just out of reach for almost everybody who lives here. So these price increases are coming to us because of our demand, the demand for so many, and it's hurting our residents. So we should turn that challenge into an opportunity. The challenge is that we're being priced out of the market, and the opportunity is to take those gains in property and reinvest them in things that will truly help and secure the future of our residents. That's how we're funding it. But some of it is short-term funding because we still have federal dollars from the American Rescue Plan, from the infrastructure bill, and those dollars are going to go away. So we cannot depend upon them in the long term. So we're putting programs together that will have a long shelf life. If landlords agree to reduce their rental to help the workforce, then hopefully they'll stay there. If we give people money to renovate homes and keep the prices low, we keep the prices low. If we help developers get that last dollar to finish out a project, we have those units. So these are things that help in the immediate, but also will have a benefit longer term.
Madam Mayor, I know that you need to leave shortly, so please, I know that you'll cut me off with the questions when necessary. Another questions are coming through about specifically how we are to speak to each of our county commissioners about the other key issues. Are there any key issues that have been mentioned today that we have shown support women and girls that are particularly vulnerable or could use some extra support?
Thank you for that. Thank you for all the questions. And I'm just looking a little bit on my little dashboard here. You have some great people from my office. In addition to Lauren, you have Jason Smith, Director of Equity and Engagement. You have Pat Morris, who's our liaison civic and philanthropic partnerships, and others. So they'll be able to answer questions when I'm gone off the line. But to answer this question specifically, our commission has not historically supported social services in a big way. My predecessor reduced funding for social services, reduced salaries, converted full-time to part-time. And I have, with this budget, not only added those innovative programs that help, like immigration services, housing services, neighborhood safety services, more domestic violence programs, but I've also done a lot to stabilize the workforce. And we need your help because that is often the first place where people will cut. We've made a lot of good noise about the homes plan. I think most commissioners agree that this is they might tinker here or there and they might not like this part of it as much as that part, but they recognize that we have to do something dramatic and they are mostly on board, I believe, although reaffirming it is good. What they might try to do is say, oh, you've increased these special programs. We can't afford those. And it's not true. We can and we must, because this is how we're going to protect our people. Same with our police department. Our police department is very innovative and they've added social programming. They have youth violence prevention program. Programs to help. We are employing young people to keep them, kids that are getting in trouble, we're employing them through the Fit to Lead program. So many, many, many programs. And I think for you to say that moms, especially single moms and young people, the girls as well as the boys, really need those programs and not to be penny wise and pound foolish, to recognize that prevention and investments are what will secure families, improve their quality of life, and improve our economy overall.
No question, Mayor. We're so grateful you're with us this evening and that you've been with so many important other issues. We know we had to reschedule because you were supporting our community in many other ways. We thank you for all you do. We are going to continue on with a few more questions with your team. If you'd like to say some parting words before we go on to a few more questions.
So I believe that when the people lead, the leaders follow. I depend upon you. It's an inside-outside strategy. I cannot do the things that the public does not demand. You have to be the voice. You have to communicate to those elected officials. I'm no longer the person who votes on the budget. I'm the person who proposes the budget. So you are critical players in raising any questions or concerns, helping us to enhance our case, improve what we're offering. And this is a lifelong relationship. This is not just for today. This is for always. We want to work with you throughout the year. Earlier, I know you had a session earlier as well that we, of course, participated in. We want to continue to work with you, hear from you, work with, and make sure that we're representing what you see the needs are in the community. So thank you again for giving us this platform. You've got a great team of people to interact with, and all of you are just godsends. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Y que salga bien tu programa de televisión.
Oscar, suerte. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. I know that quite a few of us here would like to address the issue. Yvonne Mesa is here from the county as well. In addition to the mayor's team, for us, it is a critical economic mobility pillar to have freedom from violence for women and girls in our community. So the funding for the domestic violence shelter that was mentioned, Lauren, in your budget, can you iterate to us a little bit if there are any special talking points? I know many people on this call are very concerned about that area. Any talking points that we can have about how to support this item in the mayor's budget with our county commissioners?
Thanks, Maria. I'm actually going to turn it to our equity and engagement team. I'm not sure if we have the right representatives on the call to answer directly, but Jason, Juan, do we have anybody who might be able to follow up with some talking points on this issue?
We certainly do. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Smith, Director of Equity and Engagement in the Mayor's Office. And we have on the call our Director of Community Action and Human Services. Her name is Sonia Grice. And, you know, so many of the social services are seated in Sonia's department. And we can provide, you know, the specifics of the line items, you know, how much each aspect of that department's budget is being funded, so that you can speak to, you know, when you talk to the commissioners, the need to protect and preserve those specific budget items. But in general, I think it's helpful when you talk to county commissioners to let them know that over the years, the Community Action and Human Services Department, which is really the department that provides most of the services to women and girls in our community, has been woefully underfunded and has historically had a number of unmet needs. But for the first time, you know, the county has an opportunity to truly invest in the programs that matter by investing in the in protecting the budget of the Community Action and Human Services Department. And if you say that, then you'll be protecting the funding for the Head Start program, protecting the funding for the Coordinated Victims Assistance Center, protecting the funding for also the domestic violence shelters operated by the Community Action and Human Services Department, and so many others. So Sonia, would you like to say anything more that, you know, maybe some specific messaging that you think might be helpful?
Hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you again, Jason, for assisting us with that. I just wanted to add that it's very important. I know Yvonne works with she's on the board for the Women's Fund, but it's very important that you all continue to request assistance for our shelters and the work that they do, that Yvonne does in the shelters as well. As you know, she has a good program related to that addresses human trafficking, which you just mentioned you work with for Formula One. And I think the soccer that's supposed to come too. So it's just continue to please support our programs. That's the message. It's the message. Especially when we know how crucial it is for them to be placed in our shelters and also move to in transitional housing. Both programs are important for our residents that face this trauma-related domestic violence. So please continue to help us. I don't know if Yvonne wanted to add anything.
Yvonne, would you like to add anything?
Well, I think it was covered by our director and my director, and I also think that the mayor touched upon some important points. Again, you know, we definitely appreciate the support and need it. Because I think
6 months, so.
Excuse me?
Go ahead, Yvonne.
Okay. No, I was gonna say that I wanted to emphasize something that the mayor eloquently explained before, and it is the fact that housing, it's definitely something that is most critical, because if you don't have a home to go to, then that is really connected not only to domestic violence, to human trafficking, to sexual violence, but to addictions and to all kind of problems in our community. So I think that definitely that is something that we all need to be very attentive to and help in any way, support in any way, because it's crucial.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm going to ask our team as we go on with the questions, if you can go ahead and post, Kami, the next slides while we're going on with some of the final questions. I know that some of the staff has to go as well. We have questions. You know, I'm learning every day from this community, and of course, learning much every day about advocacy. We do have a terrific board of directors who's very active. We have a legislative and advocacy committee that also has community members, and we have volunteer impact agents. So whatever form we come in, quite a few of us will be showing up at the budget hearing meetings and do want to understand how we can get into some of the details as well. There's several different posts here. Esther McCant, who's a wonderful leader in the community, working especially with maternal health and doula programs, and she and others are talking about how important it is for essential workers like caretakers, doulas, and for us, our grantees that we're working on with this year are folks who are doing early childhood education, right? If we can't teach our children and our babies all right, it is a severe impediment for women's economic mobility in our community. Who can answer? How do we get into those details about who is covered within some of these programs? Do we have to go program by program, or how do you suggest that the community come directly to the mayor's office to understand who they should be speaking with to see who's covered?
Sonia, I mean, I know, so most of the programs that you're referring to are administered by the Community Action and Human Services Department. And, you know, we do have, you know, assistant directors and, you know, frontline staff that administers those programs.
Yeah, so I'm trying to read your name, Ms. Meyer. We have the Head Start program in Cosby. So if you reach out to us, we can walk you through the requirements for that program, if that's okay. And I can share my information in the chat.
And Maria, I
Wonderful.
wanted to add,
Go ahead.
anybody who's tuning in, if you want to check out miamidade.gov/homes plan, while we're of course needing to get this budget and this millage rate approved so that we can fully implement all of these programs, we actually have a little bit of information about who would best qualify and what are those some of those eligibility requirements on the site, so people can go on miamidade.gov/homes plan and see a little bit of that right now too.
That's terrific. That's really helpful. Is Lauren, you and many of you know, because many of you come and join us once a month for Impact Collaboratives, where we do focus on one of those core pillars. We are going to be meeting tomorrow morning to look at the data and the research that we have on hand from our our program with our research. We have a gender equity dashboard at all of your service on Miami-Dade Women's Fund Miami.org. And it's really, we're looking at the tragic trends on Miami's maternal and infant mortality data. We have 10.8% if for Black mothers and only 3.1% for white mothers and 3.9 for Latina mothers. So we have terrific community servants who are all working together. And we do ask you all to join us tomorrow as we work together to try and make those statistics something part of history, part of the past. We have incredible folks, both from public and from academia, who are leaders here. And we'll look forward to working with the mayor and the county team as we all work together on those public health issues. I'm mentioning that now, so everybody joins us tomorrow, but also the next month in October, we're going to be speaking about domestic violence and why some of the data is getting worse, why the numbers are going up, but also programs that work. So I cannot tell you, the whole crowd here, this plaza is cheering with the information about the internal recommendations that Miami-Dade Police Department will be doing, documenting ways on to best address those issues. We are thrilled to hear about that. Could you give us one or two more details, and just know that an invitation will be coming from Camila to one of you all to speak? We have our panel almost closed, but we're going to be really excited as a community to hear more about that program. Can you tell us a little bit more before we go?
I actually received that information from somebody who was earlier on the Zoom, but has had to drop, unfortunately. But can I commit to getting that to you shortly after this conversation? I'm so sorry I can't give you more, but is that okay?
Absolutely, because the conversations don't end here. Juan, thank you so much. And actually, that's why we keep on needing to come together, put on our gender lenses and focus on women and girls and focus on our county budget. Because if we don't do that, we don't see the details and we're not effective in getting things done. And we only get them done when we're working together, stronger together. This is an incredibly powerful gathering. Thank you each and all for being here today. Excuse me, I think we have one more question and that I might have missed. Arthi, I'm just going to ask you to just come off camera and ask your question yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, our board chair, the brilliant Arthi Ramappa.
Thank you, everybody.
Arthi, go ahead.
Hi. Thank you to the mayor staff for being here and to the mayor for speaking to us today. I just wanted to have a question, because with all of these programs, if we want our impact agents to speak at these budget hearings, do you have any scripts to make it easier for them? Because so many people have never spoken in front of the budget hearings. So, about the different programs, is something that we can put together that we can give to our impact agents to make it easier for them to speak? Because you know how people are, they don't like speaking, they're afraid of it. So we want to make it easier for them to come out and speak at the hearings.
Hi, Arati, Jason here. Let's talk offline. I'll be happy to share with you some best practices, that would, and templates that would make it easier for first-time public speakers. I will say that we tried, we don't advise everyone to use the same script, because the commissioners will tune it out and then they'll say something snarky like, oh, the same group. We know that somebody put you guys up to it because you guys are all saying the same thing. So there are ways to get around that, and I'm happy to work with you on that.
You're right. You make a good point on that. I don't want everybody saying the same thing, but just giving them an idea of what to say and the program names, so it makes it easier.
Indeed.
And that way we can get more people to come out if they have an idea.
Exactly. I'll work with you on that this week.
Perfect. Thank you.
And for everybody, I did put my email in the chat. It's jason.smith2@miamidade.gov. We are here to be your partners. So please reach out.
Stronger together, a 305, where all of us are set up to truly thrive. Thank you all so
Myra,
much for
this-
being here, and we
this
keep
is
on coming
Pat.
together. So,
Hey, it's Pat
Hey,
Morris.
Pat.
I just wanted to say thank you for jumping in on your vacation cruise and joining us tonight. I've known the mayor for over 30 years. She's the first nonprofit executive that I ever heard talk about and host sessions for other nonprofit leaders about advocating and being a lobbyist for your cause. And now with the mayor, who is the single biggest collaborator I've ever seen in my life, we really are at a historic point where we need our nonprofits to turn out, make those phone calls, and let their elected commissioners know the importance of the work you're doing and the importance of the mayor leading this charge. She is as she calls herself, the nonprofit mayor. And, we have I think, a historic point in our county's history to, have a social worker and a lawyer who's leading this effort on behalf of our county and, understands the work that the nonprofits do every single day. So, everything that you can do that we've talked about here, Jason and Juan and Lauren have talked about in terms of, reaching out to our elected leaders, this is the point in time to do that. So thank you all. Thank you, Mara.
Thank you all. Jason, Lauren, any last words, or should we thank you and say that it just starts? Here's where we just start. Onward.
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 Also, Ms. Meyer,
Okay,
excuse
thank
me,
you all.
I just wanted to say that my cell phone number is in the chat, okay? If anyone has questions related to COSI. Thank you.
Terrific. Okay. Thank you so much. In name of all of our community partners who are with us tonight and every day doing this work as well, thank you, and we'll see you all soon. Good night.